Has been. Now, this may be very late when it comes out, but the Pride art / merch came out when I wrote this, and I decided it would be a perfect time to finally take a really in-depth look at the show's humor. Yes, I do feel there is many deeply homophobic tones in this show despite how queer it presents itself. For every good thing it does to represent, there's about 3 wrongs. Gay people in hell, Vivzy, we see what you're doing, we see what you want to say. Now, looking at the characters in heaven, we see that Adam and Abel are straight allies. That's awesome, having straight allies have their own little dedicated thing on Pride Parade. Very realistic, thank you. So yeah, they're straight, and Emily is queer, Sarah is lesbian, and we have the bisexual Snake, of course. I always thought that Emily and Sarah were ace because they're angels and they have no biological need for sexual intimacy. I guess homo-romantic makes more sense for Sarah, like a Bambi lesbian. That makes sense for Sarah to be. Now, Abel I always knew was going to be straight. He has that boy that's awkward around girls type of straight vibe to me. The fan backlash that happened around that time, in my opinion, comes from the fan base that Vivzy has built up. Her shows are heavily reliant on many stereotypes, and it's ridiculous. It doesn't surprise me that people were upset over the sensitive soft boy not being gay, as they've come to expect. They're younger and they're more impressionable, the majority of them, and that's not an insult either. Any internet-based media has a largely young audience. Adam's straight identity did confuse me though. I could have sworn I remembered the voice actors had confirmed and said that Lute and him were bisexual, which Adam being bi, that made sense to me. Like, I'm sure he wanted to experiment in all those years and see why both of his wives left him for Lucifer. Feels too much like a straight frat boy stereotype now, though. Lute I thought was gonna be homophobic. I don't know, she wasn't on the Pride Parade, so maybe she was. Maybe St. Peter too. Let's move on from that. Angel Dust. Now, he represents the gay twinks of this show, and how are they portrayed? Every confirmed gay man in this show thus far has been the exact same personality and trope. Stolas and Angel both sexually harass their love interest until they can elicit something sexual out of them or get them to like them back. Angel, as I've complained before, is a horrid representation of a gay man, and in fact does not feel like a male character at all, but that's besides the point. In season 2, he doesn't get as much time to be himself before being beat, humiliated, and hypnotized. Season 1 has so many atrocities with him though. His harassment of a more masculine man, Husk. Husk is commonly played for laughs and not taken at all seriously when he's harassed. Angel and Fizz both make jokes very frequently about like cocks. Like, Fizz obsessing over Asmodeus' size. I can never get over how atrocious that one is. All of which have the humor of being made by a middle schooler. The jokes of Angel flirting, like that humor relies on you finding it funny that this feminine man thinks that he can tempt another man, and it has the same energy to me as when shows make jokes about a straight man being quote-unquote tricked by a trans woman. There is an absurd amount of shows that have that trope. It annoys me. There's constant jokes made at his expense when it comes to his exploitation too. Like, Val beating him is played for laughs. You see how they draw like funny faces on his expressions and not showing like actual pain and distress. Even after Loser Baby, Angel is just casually like remarking about his exploitation as if it's not a big deal anymore. And also, the stepbrother gets stuck in a hula hoop. I didn't find that funny in the show, and also like on the merch page they sell it, and I got a comment that really annoyed me. Someone's like, oh, this is the corn industry, of course they're gonna be selling exploitation. Come on, man. The whole show is trying to make a commentary on why it's bad, and then they start selling like stuff from him being exploited and hypnotized, and it's just like, what, like the tone deafness of the show is insane. Like, they go from trying to represent his abuse as something serious and something horrible, and then immediately going to be like, hey, isn't this so funny? Like, they don't know what they want to do. Sorry, like, quick side tangent, that was a big issue I had with Vox's villainy. I thought they built him up really well as a threat, but then they also had him like simping for Alistair and being like all pathetic around him him, and then at the end they just have him be an iPad and be silly. It's like, what are you trying to communicate with this villain? What is your tone here? Do you want me to be threatened by him, or do you want me to take him as a joke? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to pick one thing for him to be. Like, this doesn't work. You can have him be pathetic more subtly. Sorry, I know, I'm getting off topic here. Sorry, speaking of a bisexual character too, before I move on to my next point, I want to say they have the joke of like Charlie saying like, well actually I'm bi and not lesbian. And they reuse that in Helluva when Moxie says, first of all Dad, I'm bisexual, I'm not gay. They do it twice. There's so much reusing jokes in this show. I feel like I could probably make a really long compilation of it if I ever, God forbid, I sit down and take my time to do that. Anyways, Fizz's relationship too has like the father-son dynamic, which is really a gross trope of queer male relationships that I notice. And even Vaggie and Charlie sort of have like a motherly thing going on with like Vaggie having to be parental for her. Fizz's relationship, Angel's relationship with Husk, Fizz too, every time he's with like Blitz, he's aroused too, or when he's with Stryker, he's getting aroused. And I feel like this really perpetuates the idea that gay men can't help themselves around other men. Like Stolas and Angel display this behavior too. Stolas, granted he isn't around many men other than Blitz, but when we see him move on, like we see him move on fast with another imp after the breakup. And like Angel like is constantly, even outside of his work, is like flirting with other men, which like why there's this line of Blitz saying who's the bottom and who's the top when he talks to Fizz and Asmodeus, and that line really bothers me. It's like a really throwaway joke, but like even then, like these small things really add up. That the joke of that implies that the top or the bottom, someone has to be like the man or the woman in a relationship. That's what that joke is based off of. And like Blitz is a gay man himself. Why is he trying to pry into someone's personal life and understand this? I complained about it in my last Blitzo video. Sorry to name him, but like that joke just really irks me. That I'm a top, I don't know how to do this. It's just, it's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Like, in the yaoi jokes all the time, and the Serpentious violation room. Sorry, again, I don't know if I can say that, if YouTube will kill me for saying that word. Or, there's a joke, too, with Baxter, when he's in the basement. Cherry talks to him about Serpentious, and Baxter's like, oh, we were just lab partners. We weren't partners, we weren't together. And this joke, it, like, relies on the idea of, like, gayness being shameful, and it's just, I don't know. These jokes just aren't like actual queer jokes to me. They're so much like the woman who fetishizes gay men and makes jokes about haha you're gay, haha you're gay, you know? Like it's stupid. And the Bigfoot short too, that had an ending that was like instead of them just being like a cute couple, the Bigfoot had to start banging the waiter guy. I really want to touch on how they handle other sexualities in the show too. I'm sure many people have complained about the gay men, but I want to talk about the other sexualities specifically also. Next on the chopping block is the pansexuals of this verse. And I don't think people have really called this out, but the pan people are represented either by the most dedicated person, Lucifer, or the most promiscuous characters, and there's no in between. And for those who sleep around a lot, the pansexuality is in there obviously just for the joke of like they will just sleep with anyone, with anything. Blitz, Chaz, Valentino, Verosica, their sexualities were only chosen that way so that they would be able to get with as many people as possible. It's a stereotype that pansexuals aren't able to commit to a relationship, or that they are just always looking for sex. At least like I said, there's Lucifer. Asmodeus, kind of like, I guess Lust being pansexual would make sense a bit, but it's also like sort of perpetuating the idea, but he is dedicated to Fizz. Asmodeus is a very strange case to me that I don't want to like get super into right now. Verosica, though, she could have been a straight person in hell, I think. Instead of having her be like pansexual and wanting to just sleep with as many people as she can, I think they could have showed that like this could have been a commentary on the exploitation of sex work. Like she could be a straight woman, but her preferences don't matter. Her bodily autonomy means nothing here. Like, she still has to meet her daily quota. And Valentino, he should have just been a straight man. Like, they could have a commentary on how he's forcing Angel to appear more feminine to appeal to certain fetishes, because he thinks femboys are attractive, so he wants to perpetuate that. Like, straight men fetishizing femboys, that is a very prevalent issue right now. It kind of has been in history too, sorry. An unintentional pun there, but you see it so much on the internet right now. Like, a femboy will just be existing, and like straight men will just be so disgusting about it. And sorry, the term femboy and the term twink they have issues with them in themselves that I want to complain about, but this is not the video for that topic. We're focusing solely on Hazbin and not general queer issues. Blitz and Chaz are unforgivable characters of pansexuals though. Just like delete them altogether. Husk is a golden child. So sad that he stuck with Angel. But with all that said, sorry, again, let me just say, like, Blitz and Chaz, it is so clear that they're just pansexual because Chaz is an F-boy and he wants to just get with as many people as he can. Sure, you can say that Adam is a straight frat boy, but like, you can't deny that Chaz is pan just for that joke. And like, with how many pansexual characters are promiscuous in that sense, like, it adds up. You can't deny that. About the asexual characters, how are they portrayed? Octavia, she's a child, so that makes sense, right? She only revolves around her father, sadly though. There's only two other asexual characters that we know of at the moment. There's Mammon and Alistair. Now, Mammon feels like a Tumblr stereotype of an asexual who is obsessed with food and money rather than sex, like every other character here. They have him make sexual advances towards Leviathan and be like controlling of how sexy Fizz looks, and I kind of really hate him being like a foodie too. This feels like it's shaming ace people and calling them gross. With how few ace characters there are and even less fat characters, it feels targeted. Credit where credit's due. Like, as a villain, he's good. His design is good. He's just very odd representation. Alistair's horrendous ace rep in my opinion though. Maybe season 3 can salvage it, but the issue is how little they respect his identity in the framing of the character and the show's writing. He's shown to have like fan service type scenes. His unbuttoned shirt and whiskey scene, like, that was so clearly sexualizing him to a simp audience. It invites the viewer to imagine him in scenarios, and you can't act like they had no idea they were doing this when they drew him like that. They also repeatedly put Alistair in sexual situations, especially with Vox. Now, this does pain me as a radio static shipper. I much prefer the idea that Vox would want to understand how to love Alistair without forcing him into things that he wouldn't be okay with. It's Vivzie and her damn team ruining this though. They want to make fan service of Alistair being tied up and just barely not getting topped on screen by Vox, and the fans eat it up. Like, so many of them don't seem to have an issue with this. They'll retort with saying that asexuals can want to feel sexy too. And while yes, this is true, I understand wanting to feel attractive without wanting to engage in sexual acts. Alistair has not shown this desire. From all that we've seen, he doesn't want to or care to be seen as hot, and he seems quite sex repulsed, if anything. I wish that they would respect this. My friend has told me that in BoJack, the show that Viv is inspired by, an ace character in that is presented with much more respect. Todd, I believe his name is, and he's not put in sexual situation, and he's able to properly explore his attractions. It would not be hard to just avoid doing this with Alistair too. If you wanted to put him in uncomfortable scenes, you could frame it properly. Don't just have him be forced to watch Vox have sex with Val as a joke in another stupid compilation. There's also a lot of kink shaming in this show, which is like surprising to me for something that wants to be progressive. Like, Moxie is always being made the butt of the joke for wanting to be a bottom. Like, the joke is at his expense. And like, why? if he's into his woman pegging him, why is this an issue? And like they put him in dresses and that's supposed to be funny and shaming him for being effeminate, which is insulting because like I mean obviously I don't know why a show that wants to be queer and progressive has so much underlying homophobic humor, and like why is it funny if a man wants to get pegged? Like he can still be a man. He can still be respected. You don't have to shame him for what he's into. Katie Killjoy's whole character, you know, went from being voiced by a woman to a gay man that just wants to constantly make homophobic jokes. You know, it kind of indicates where the priorities are. Overall, I feel like the jokes with the characters' sexualities rely heavily on you not caring about the ideas that are being perpetuated and how they could affect real people, and they're just there to be so uncreative. Pan people are slutty, Moxie getting mistaken as gay, ace people being obsessed with garlic bread. These are such like Tumblr middle school jokes. I don't know, it really angers me. My question of the day is, I guess, for identities that aren't in the show yet, what lame jokes do you think Vivzy would write for them? Shout out to the channel members, Sammy Lawrence, Maxton, Esma, and Alex Goodbear. Appreciate it a lot. We have a Discord if you want to join that. Like, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff. Thank you for watching the video and hearing my takes, and see you next time. Love you. Bye. Notice how lesbians weren't mentioned? Don't worry. Unlike Spindle Horse, I didn't forget. Stay tuned.